AskReddit by deleted. What famous person didn't deserve all the hate that they got? Macaulay Culkin. For editors old enough to remember, the young Home Alone star got a bunch of hate for being a spoiled brat when he sued to divorce his parents. Truth of the matter is his father was a physically abusive asshole, and his parents were going to take the $15.20 he earned from acting and leave Macaulay with nothing. Once Macaulay took control of that money, he brought a home for his mum and siblings, and paid for his siblings' schooling. Dude was a class act. Salieri. Pretty chill dude. Mozart's biggest supporter. Lent him his librettista so he could write Figaro. Took care of Mozart's kid after he passed away. That's a damn good movie, though. But it also does him dirty as well. Ignaz Philipp Semmelweis. He was a Hungarian physician and scientist, described as the savior of mothers. He proposed the practice of washing hands with chlorinated lime solutions in 1847 while working in Vienna General Hospital's first obstetrical clinic, where doctors' wards had 3 times the mortality of midwives' wards. Some doctors were offended at the suggestion that they should wash their hands and mocked him for it. In 1865 he allegedly suffered a nervous breakdown and was committed to an asylum by his colleagues. In the asylum he was beaten by the guards. He died 14 days later from a gangrenous wound on his right hand that may have been caused by the beating. His findings earned widespread acceptance only years after his death, when Louis Pasteur confirmed the germ theory. That was a sad case. He couldn't really prove the germs actually existed, but he had statistics to prove that mothers who gave birth with doctor who had washed their hands had a significantly higher chance of surviving, and the doctors were also arrogant that they never even considered that his conclusion was right, but that maybe he got the details wrong, which he didn't. He got them right, but this would have been a reasonable way to be skeptical of his claims at the time. Natasha Kampusch. She was kidnapped in Vienna, Austria on her way to school when she was 10 years old and held captive in a secret bunker for 8 years. She managed to escape and her abuser killed himself the same day. Sadly, the public seems to hate her because she refused to talk publicly about the details of her sexual abuse. Edit. She was 10 when kidnapped and escaped after 8 years. Thanks for the correction. Poor woman can't win either way. Whenever she does step in front of a camera, people are like, does she need money or just the attention? I really wish her the best because she already got robbed of her childhood. Lindsay Lohan overworked and pimped out by her parents. Was looking through the comments to see if Lindsay Lohan would be mentioned, not to mention the disgusting behavior of the media and the public in regards to her addiction issues. That one David Letterman interview with her is almost unbearable to watch. She deserves a huge apology from the world. Tara Reid. She did not drive drunk. She did not kill anybody with her car. She did not get arrested. She partied a lot and her boob fell out. That's it. Also, if memory serves, she was treated horribly by Carson Daly. In the same vein, Janet Jackson after that Super Bowl. A dingo ate me baby. https://en.m.wiki.org/death_of_Azaria_Chamberlain . Parents of Azaria were ridiculed and hounded by the press, and the grieving mother's statement became a pop culture reference. They were accused of murdering their child. Many years later it was finally proven that a dingo had, in fact, eaten their baby. Lindsay Chamberlain was, in fact, found guilty of murdering her child and sent to jail for a number of years. Her conviction was overturned, and it's now accepted that a dingo was responsible. However, jokes about it are still made. I can't imagine how awful it must be to have the world laugh for decades over your child's horrific death. Edit. Lindy not Lindsay. Rebecca Black got death threats for her song Friday Ike. It's just a song, an annoying one, but just a song, guys. Edgar Allan Poe. Everyone hates him for marrying his underage cousin, but they never look into it. He only married her because she was betrothed to an old obese man that she didn't want to marry. He never touched her as a husband touches a wife, and they slept in completely different rooms. Edit. Okay, after reading some comments, I decided to look into it once again, and the few sources I had read about years ago have now been proven wrong. I found this out today, so I've been carrying a falsehood for years. I ask for forgiveness from everybody, as Edgar Allan Poe did just marry his underage cousin just for the sake of marrying her. Or more accurately, their relationship is debated but leans more on the side of him doing the latter. Yeah, it was basically a way for him to adopt her. All the child stars that went off the rails. They didn't ask for fame. Deleted. Milli Vanilli. They were a late 80s R&B duo who were exposed for lip-syncing their music during a live performance on MTV. In reality, the two members Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus were capable singers and performers, but their record label didn't allow them to sing on their records or during live performances. They had signed their record contract in German, a language neither of them spoke, and actively fought with the label behind the scenes to sing and perform their own songs. After being exposed, they were forced to relinquish their Best New Artist Grammys, and their label toured the actual singers as the real Milli Vanilli. The media backlash was severe, and Rob Pilatus fell victim to addiction. He overdosed and died in the late 90s. Edit. Rob could speak German. Most of this information is from a Fab Morvan interview, and when he said he couldn't speak German, I wrongfully assumed neither of them could. My mistake. The guy who played Kid Anakin. He was bullied so hard that it ruined all the love he had for Star Wars. Ruined all the love he had for Star Wars is nothing compared to him becoming depressed and a drug addict, getting arrested several times, and I'm pretty sure the dude tried to end his life a few times. He seems to be doing better now but is still recovering from everything, over 2 decades later. Rob Pilatus and Fab Morvan. They weren't told until after they had already signed their contracts and spent an advance from the record label on new clothes and hair extensions for their promo shoots that they wouldn't be singing on the album. They couldn't afford to pay back the advance, so they said they would stick with the label until they made enough money to pay them back. When the lip sync scandal went down, they got all the blame for it. Milli Vanilli. You're probably too young to remember when Keanu Reeves was a late night punchline for years. In the 90s, every reference to the man was about how stupid he seemed. That's because of his Bill and Ted days. He once played Hamlet in Winnipeg. There's a scene in Hamlet where he meets his friends, Guildenstern and Rosencrantz, and calls them my good and excellent friends. When Keanu Reeves uttered that line on stage, the entire audience laughed. Corey Feldman over his comments about childhood sexual abuse in Hollywood. Barbara Walters treated him like shit and basically told the world he was a liar. You're ruining an entire industry. No, Barbara, the pedophiles are the ones in the wrong. Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin, and the child actor of Anakin. They both got so much hate, and I still don't get why. Because some Star Wars fans are complete garbage humans. All the teens adults who were former Disney darlings, especially the women. I never understood why people and the media were so mean to Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, etc. Paris Hilton's ex sold revenge porn to legit publisher and got away with it. She somehow got treated as if she was responsible. Same goes for Pamela Anderson. Imagine someone breaking into your house, stealing your home videos and putting them on YouTube for the world to see. Then people accused her of planting the tape for her career advancement, when she already had a great career going at the time. Rebecca Black. Got roasted hard at 14 years old for the song Friday. Patrice Wilson was the producer and got paid by both Black's mom and a good chunk of the proceeds, but he flew under the radar from the abuse. Granted, it's a dumb song, but the hatred was immense for a 14-year-old kid. The song looked like it was something made for $2,000 by a cut-rate music studio for a peppy Southern California teenager to be posted for free on YouTube. And that's exactly what it was. There was no more reason to take it seriously enough to warrant any negative opinion of Rebecca Black than there would be to get angry over a kid's refrigerator paintings. Mama Cass Elliot. She was an absolute beautiful, intensely powerful voice. But because she was gasp fat, in the 60s 70s she was bullied relentlessly by the media. She died of heart failure and a random doctor said she could have died choking on a ham sandwich. The media just dropped articles that is how she died. If there is any reason for me to despise older generations, it's how they treated Mama Cass. I grew up being told the ham sandwich myth. Just learned it wasn't true a couple of years ago and was so mad about it. What a shit thing to do to someone. Honestly, Britney Spears. The way we treated her after the breakdown is downright sad. The fact that more people don't crack under the pressure she was going through baffles me. Imagine your life is televised almost 24/7 and you couldn't even feel sure that you had privacy in your own home. Not even gonna get into the conservatorship. We really did her dirty. Regardless of what you think about the music, she deserved and deserves to be treated with more respect than she got. I'll always respect Craig Ferguson for defending her after all she was going through in 2007 during one of his monologues on The Late Late Show, when so many other late night hosts and comedians were going after the low-hanging fruit and making jokes about her when she clearly wasn't well. I won't forget a comment I saw here on Reddit a while ago that said, "We all owe that leave Britney alone guy an apology." Alan Turing. You are not being forced to salute the Nazi flag because of him and the very people whose asses he saved drove him to suicide. Yeah, Turing was treated so poorly. His death is a prime example of how one shouldn't miss the good old days. We could have been further along as a society if we didn't unfortunately lose him prematurely. He also was casually an Olympic tier runner in his 30s. Michael Phelps emo. He could have denied that picture of him smoking marijuana was actually him since it was unclear. At the end of the day he didn't deny it and lost some serious endorsements if I remember right. Not a big deal. I remember reading once that he had a very high caloric intake due to swimming and practicing and stuff. So after reading that he takes in around 10,000 calories a day and then finding out about the pot thing, my first thought was how else will he eat all that? Meg White. Yes, she was not the most advanced drummer, but she was probably playing to the best of her ability at the time. Even though her beats were basic, they did the trick and the White Stripes became famous. I get sick of all these music snobs saying imagine how great the White Stripes would have been if they had a decent drummer. They miss the point entirely. It was a husband and wife making music and enjoying that together. Fuck off. You don't have to be classically trained for it to sound good. I don't need Dream Academy theater level drummers in every band. I'd even argue that the White Stripes wouldn't be the same with a better drummer. Her beats added to the grungy, stark garage band sound and were exactly what the songs needed. Sometimes you just want to hear some bashing. Sully. She was a K-pop idol who was driven to suicide by from malicious netizens who hated her for being outspoken in a conservative society. When she passed, people even said she was just too weak. I've been watching early episodes of Running Man and my wife, a longtime fan, keeps telling me about guests, typically idols, that later committed suicide. Richard Jewell. The reason this is so bad is because even after he was proven innocent, many people never heard the retraction from the press. Until just a few years ago even, I could have told you his name and recognized him in a photo and still remember him, unfairly, as the guy responsible for the bombing. Richard Jewell. Isn't he the guy who found the bomb he actually planted during the Atlanta Olympics? The hot coffee McDonald's lady. The story that I had heard and believed for years was that some woman burned her tongue a little and sued McDonald's for not marking clearly that their coffee was hot. when the reality was that McDonald's raised the temperature of their coffee way higher than normal. It spilled on her when getting it in the drive-thru, and her burns were horrifically severe and she needed skin grafts. She was suing for so much because it literally how much her medical bills cost. But so many people ridiculed her and the case for years. Edit. People calling me out for saying higher than boiling point. I just meant that it was really hot. I just had this conversation last weekend. The coffee was so hot it melted her labia together. She wasn't driving. They were actually parked when it happened, and McDonald's had been sued before because of people getting hurt by their coffee. Lena Headey. According to an interview, she received a lot of hate when she played Cersei in Game of Thrones. I guess some people can't separate reality from film. Shows how great of an actress she is. Similar to Anna Gunn. She faced a lot of harassment for playing Skylar White in Breaking Bad. Her character doesn't even compare to the most evil characters in the show, including Walter White. Amy Winehouse. Once rehab hit and she became that pinup girl with a drug problem icon. It was all but over. Media played her out like Britney or others, but in reality she was a talented musician who wrote all her own songs and brought a modern style of jazz to what was otherwise pop bullshit at the time. Didn't help her father and partner used her for all she was worth till the end. I saw the corpse of Amy Winehouse meat platter. What a sick fucking thing to do. I can't remember the name of the man who did it and I don't want to waste finger energy in looking it up, but whoever you are, but from the deepest part of my soul, fuck off you unempathetic flange nugget.